It is my pleasure to introduce our guest this evening. After one false start in March due to a technical glitch, I am very pleased to introduce Sanaz, who will be speaking with us about the Energy Leadership Index. Sanaz is a software engineer turned agile coach with a passion for enabling leaders to meet with the best versions of themselves. So over to you, Sanaz, to share your insights on energy leadership.
Thank you. Hello, everyone, old friends, new friends. I miss you all. I hope we could get together again in Cornwall, one of those retreats together. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to start with, I know that these are a lot of words to digest, stakeholder management and then using energy leadership. I'm going to start with like why I'm in front of the room talking about energy leadership and then what is energy leadership. And then we're going to go into a bit of details as much as the time let us, like 15 minutes, and then I'm going to answer questions around that. I'm working as an Agile coach, Capital One, but my coaching heart is beating loud. So that's why I started my coaching journey a couple of years ago, going to IPEC school, and then I couldn't stop there, going to Coactive, and then I couldn't stop there. I went to organizational relationship systems coaching, and I don't know what would be the next, but through my journey, at IPEC, I've been introduced with a tool, an assessment called Energy Leadership Index Assessment. And that was when I started learning more about energy leadership. And then I thought, okay, that's great. I can use this in something mysterious thing called stakeholder management. I know that like being an agile coach, one of the most important, and previously project managers, we all talk about stakeholder management, but what is the stakeholder management? To be honest, it's always mysterious to me. Like, is it buying their support? Is it building constructive relationship with them? Is it encouraging them to act? Is it keeping them involved? Um, and energy leadership sees the stakeholder management and generally speaking, building relationship from another angle. It sees it from energy perspective, and it says that energy speaks louder than words. And to be able to go beyond the words and build deeper relationship with people around us, we need to be able to read their energy and also be able to read our own energy when contributing in any type of kind of relationship with others. The energy leadership, it's not about labeling people. I know that we do all sorts of assessments and then we label ourselves and each other, but this is not about labeling others. It's more about understanding the default attitude of the people around us and their perception, and then their perspective about what's going on around them. And then also the ability to change and shift the energy from what wouldn't work for us to something that would work for everyone. And that's where I could kind of marry the concept of energy leadership with the stakeholder management, because at the end of the day, when we talk about the stakeholder management, it's some sort of positive engagement that we can build with another individual to get to what we want or what both of us want. That's been said, I'm going to pause here before getting to the next slide. And I'm going to ask you to think about one engagement, one type of relationship around you. It can be with one of your colleagues. It can be positive, successful one. It can be a successful one. But think about one of the engagements around you that keeps you kind of busy in a positive or negative way. Having that in mind, we're going to get to the next slide. I'm going to pause here and I'm going to simplify reading this slide for you. So all of us, depending on our life situations, at every single moment, we have a default level of energy. In energy leadership, they call it either catabolic or anabolic. There are two types of energy. One of them is, which is anabolic, is constructive, is growth oriented, is exploring, and it's gonna move us forward. And we all know those days. We all know that in a period of time in our life, we just feel that everything is perfect. And even if not perfect, we can find a way to deal with it, and it's not a big deal. On the other hand, we have the catabolic energetic profile, which is the destructive one, which is draining, which is resisting. And those are kind of when we feel that we are surrounded by limiting beliefs and nothing is working as expected, we have no choice but admitting the situation, although the situation is not our ideal situation. So this profile, we call it catabolic energy. Now think about your engagement with that person that you have in your mind, and see under which of these cells you are falling on based on your level of engagement. Is it moderated? Is it high? Is it none too slight? Is it limited and conditional? Which one it is? Just think about your engagement. Now I'm going to ask you, what's your attitude towards that person? Is it coming from anabolic, which is constructive, or is it coming from catabolic, which is destructive, which is kind of limiting beliefs? Are you coming from growth mindset, dealing with that person, or you are coming from a place that you just deal with the person because you have to? The second dimension of this table is about, okay, if let's say that if you are even holding a positive attitude toward that person, but is this relationship something that you are interested in, you are passionate about, or this is just a relationship that you have to keep it? So we call this part the stimulus responses. So I'm going to summarize it in one of these categories. So if you are holding anabolic energy, generally speaking, your default mode is positive, constructive. When you are dealing with someone or something that you are not passionate about, you still have limited enthusiasm for action. If you are passionate about that person or that relationship, then you would be in the flow state, totally focused and committed to finish, to be involved in that relationship. But if you're dealing with your catabolic profile right now, the likelihood that you can even build any constructive engagement in that relationship is very low. That's been said, there is a research behind this. I can always share the references, saying that the leaders who are experiencing the highest level of anabolic energy, they are most likely to be successful in building relationship and keeping their stakeholders engaged. Because no matter what would be the stimulus, the response to the stimulus would be at least some level of positive engagement. I'm going to pause here just to see if there is any pressing question, because I know that we're going to have a question and answer at the end. But is there any pressing question? Because by this table, we're going to go and learn about different level of energies and see how we can deal with them.
I just threw a question into the chat. I said, is emotional engagement required to get to the top right quadrant? Because you're talking about passion and the importance of what I construe as an emotional engagement. And in call it a corporate context, sometimes you kind of have to create that. And whether that can be described as artificially passionate, I don't know. I guess it's, is this something that requires you to be emotionally committed, or can you kind of fake it till you make it, so to speak?
Yeah, it's interesting, Tom, what you're saying. We're going to get to the next slides, and we're talking about different levels and how we can shift the energies. Because, I mean, to be honest, to be on the top right is the ideal scenario, which is not happening most often in the corporation setup. But generally speaking, it's not about the emotion. It's about more my attitude and my perspective of the situation or someone else in the situation. So the energy leadership process is about being able to leading the energy in the field of me and other people that we are working together towards a level of energy that can work for us. That's been said, it's not always about emotions, it's also about your perspective and attitude toward the situation. And because attitudes are subjective, so we can alter them.
Great, thank you.
Did I answer? Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna get to the first level. I think this is known, very known level of energy. This is victim level of energy. So what you're gonna observe in yourself or the stakeholder or someone around you, the core thought is, I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna lose this game. And the main emotions that you're gonna observe, it's fear. So it's a kind of fear-based relationship. And usually the action that you're gonna see, it's basically no action, if not destructive actions. This is a level of pure catabolic energy. And when you notice it in someone else, to be honest, it's not, or in yourself even, it's not easy to jump from victim, let's say, to visionary state. It's not possible. What we can do to move forward, though, is taking the person or ourselves to the very next level, which is controlling. How we can do that? I just put some sample questions, and I know that you're gonna have like a bunch of other questions in your pocket. But basically, the theme of the questions that we're gonna ask is to give the person, to acknowledge the feeling that the person has, or like the hardship of the situation. We can easily say that it can be normal feeling sad or angry when something like this happens, and then get them to complain. This is interesting, but getting them to complain, and some we usually say venting out, always help people to move forward, to get to the next level, and to get to the more anabolic level of energy. You can easily ask them, what is stopping you? What needs to be different? Which part is not working or confusing or annoying? What is at risk? Tell me more. So want them to actually vent out. And then they're going to get to the next level by venting out. Then the questions and the type of, like, the level of energy is going to change to, I'm going to win, they're going to lose. So now I know that they did this to me. I know that they are not concerning about me. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to win and you're going to lose. And the core emotion would be blame and anger at this level. And the main action is interesting. You will see those at that level, we're going to get things done. A lot of get things done. The reason being is that we don't want to delegate to someone else. We don't want anyone else to win. We just want to be the winners. And we're going to get angry over people if they get, like, they do something that we wanted to do. This is kind of control level of energy. What we can do, again, we cannot take someone from control energy level of energy, which is pure catabolic energy, to visionary all of a sudden. But what we can do is to get them to the cooperation. I'm going to pause here. So type of questions that we can ask here is all about giving control to the other person, saying that, don't worry, you're at control. How do you want it to be? How I might be of your help. So I'm going to put myself at your service because you want to be on top of everything. And then you can just start thinking about what is working right now. What do you like that I can do more of that? What do you want to be different? And then they can, I mean, people at this level, they just need to feel that they are on top of the things and they have control over things and they can be the winners. The next level is an interesting level because, like, I would say most of us, we are looking for cooperating teams and people around us, because the core thought here is, I'm going to win if and only if you win too. So the core emotion is, I'm going to tolerate you. I'm going to take responsibility, and I'm going to be part of the team doing whatever it takes, because I know that I wouldn't win if you wouldn't. The core emotion here, as I said, is tolerance. And the main action is settle for good enough. I'm going to pause here. So let's imagine a group of people at this level of energy, which is a mix of anabolic and catabolic energy. It's not catabolic, pure catabolic anymore. You're going to see some ray of anabolic energy. Let's imagine a team of full team of cooperating team members. What might be at risk, you think?
I think it stifles innovation, right? Innovation doesn't happen there.
Excellence, I would say. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, what's going to happen? They just settle for good enough because they just want to move forward and get rid of this relationship as soon as possible. So what we can do in this sort of in this type of environments is just inviting people to think about other options. You can ask all sorts of what if questions. What are other options? What else is possible? What we are missing here? What other angles that we can think of? And bringing and inviting different perspective, although at the beginning it's not very easy, because people at this level, they just want to get things done and then win their portion and then go away. But then keep holding them in the space, make them think about other options. It can get us to different layers, not necessarily service level, but it definitely, at least as you said, it can kind of like take us to excellence. It can open the space for more innovative solutions. From there, I'm gonna go to the next level, which is servicing. This level is more like it's anabolic energy, relatively high anabolic energy. The core thought is it's all about you. I'm here so that you win. I'm going to be part of your goal, and I want you to be the winner, and I'm going to do all I can just to make sure that I'm going to be there for you. And the core emotion is compassion, gratefulness, and the core action is support and service. So I'm going to pause here again. What would be at risk if everyone would be at this level?
Sanaz, just a quick time check here. It might be worth not pausing on each slide so that we can get through all of the material.
Yep, this is the last one that I'm gonna pause, promise.
No problem. No, this is great.
What would be at risk if everyone is at service?
That you don't think about yourself and you kind of end up
Awesome.
depleting yourself.
Exactly, frustration. So you can see people who are at the service of others, and at one point they're going to jump down to the victim, and then they're going to be angry at others. So this is when what we can do as coaches is we can ask them how I can support you. Forget about me, how I can support you, or which type of support you need from me, or what do you need to say no to. Invite them to say no to some of the things, can help them and avoid them to fall under the victim. To be honest, the three top ones are not necessarily the ones that we can see that often at the corporates, at least, I mean, I see it here and there, but it's not something that I see often. The one of them is true win-win. So it's all about we both win. So we're going to play together and we both win. The core emotion is confidence, peace, acceptance, and the main action is let's explore options. One of the downsides here is people get to paralysis by analysis at this point. If we want to collaborate all the time and brainstorm, and then it's going to be fun, but no one is taking action, then we're going to get to paralysis by analysis. So at this point, we need people at the corporation level, we need people at the service level. One of the questions that when you see people getting into the paralysis by analysis, you can invite them to think about is what is really important to limit the scope. What do you have tried? What you have tried so far? What would be an experiment look like? So invite them to think about in terms of MVP mindset. And what are must-haves? So it's all about asking them to prioritize and then ask them, when is the time to action? What would be the action and when is the time to action? Because there is a possibility that they enjoy the game so much that they wouldn't think about taking actions. Visionaries are the ones that they would say, everyone always win, no matter what we are doing, even if we are not successful, but at the end of the day, everyone will win. And I mean, I hope we could see that often of this mentality in the corporations. The core emotions is joy, and the action is intuitive thinking. But the downside is sometimes when we are at that level, we are coming across as not being grounded. And I see this in corporation a lot, that people are being judged as not being grounded, but in reality, they are somewhere around visionary. The question would be how I can take someone from visionary to the state that they would use that level of energy constructively. One of the things is to get them down and be grounded. Ask them about what might be at risk. What are the risks that we are willing to take? What would be a simpler way of looking at the things? What are the pros and cons? Because at visionary, when we are very high on our ideas, sometimes it's hard to think about cons of the situations. And again, at this level, we need to take them down into action, saying that, hey, in reality, what we can do right now. It's all about, I mean, it was fun, it was joyful, working together, brainstorming, having fun, but now what in reality we can do. And the last layer and the last level of energy is all about there is no winning and losing. This is just illusion. And what we can see in this type of relationship is passion, is no judgment. Even if with your close friends or your family members, you can see that with some people you have this level of energy, you're experiencing this level of, this is pure anabolic energy, is passion, no judgment. And they can kind of have the pure connection with their inner genesis. And but the downside would be they're gonna kind of be disconnected from others' emotion in some sense. The reason being is that I don't know if you have had a friend that no matter if you're happy or not, they would always say that this shall pass too, and you're just damn, because at that level, sadness, happiness, anger, doesn't matter. They are all emotions and passing by, and they don't give any weight to any of these emotions, as they are not giving weight to losing and winning. What we can do, because these type of leaders or these type of relationships are very anabolic relationship and we want to get most out of it, what we can do in these type of relationships, it's always ask them what's their prediction about future. Ask them. So at that level, when you see that they are being disconnected, you need to bring them down. You need to ask them about their vision. And then you need to ask them very clear question. Where do you want me in your vision? So where do you see my role? Where is your perception of the situation? How you might be able to help me? So you need to bring them back and ask them how you can help me. This is all great. I love this level of energy. I love working with you. I love all these great ideas. I love the passion in the air. But hey, what does it mean? And how you can support me in this journey. I'm going to pause here and I'm going to come back for questions. But just if you're looking for more insights around that, Bruce Schneider is the person who's owning the energy leadership and the assessment and the whole concept. He has a book about, it's called Energy Leadership, and it's about transformational journey of a leader walking through with this coach and going through different level of energies while working through the dysfunctionalities in his team. So it's very interesting book in terms of bringing this concept into action and into the corporate setup. So I'm going to pause here. And the last thing is, I know that whenever I talk about this, unless the individual, they took the assessment and they want to do debrief themselves, the first thing comes in mind, they start judging people around them, saying that, oh, this person is level 1, this person is level 2. But hopefully I'm going to leave you with this message that energy leadership is about being aware of the fact that of the level of energy that you are bringing on the table, and then seeing that where this level of energy is constructive and where it's not constructive, and how you can shift the energy of yourself and others around you at the second place towards the goal that you have.
Sanaz, this was an awesome presentation. Unfortunately, we've gone way over time.
Oh, sorry
on our
for
time
that.
box. No, not even close. It was so good and so educational and so interesting. But I think what we're going to have to do is, after this meetup, we actually have the opportunity to do, we're trying a little bit of an experiment where we're going to invite some folks to do some networking. And so we can continue the conversation when we get into that networking environment there. Kumo Space is where we're going to end up. And if you do have to drop before we get there, it's still love your feedback. So there's a survey to provide feedback that's posted in the chat window as well. But Sanaz, there are just a couple of questions that I'd love to hop into before we get to those, if you could.
Sure.
And one of them was really about, and this came from a couple of people, was talking about, can different levels be sustained if the others you're with are in very different places?
Interesting question. To be honest, none of these levels can sustain forever. So we are dancing in between these levels. All matters is that that moment of time, you be aware of which level you are bringing to the relationship, and if this is serving you or not. Sometimes even being at the victim level will serve the situation. So it's all matter of like, which level am I at choice? And can I bring the other person to be a choice as well, so that we make our choices to be at this level that would serve this relationship the most?
There were a number of questions in the chat that came through as well to me, asking if, and you'd kind of touched on this right at the end, but I think it was important, and I'd love you just to maybe just take a minute and just talk about this, because the questions were all focused around how can I identify where someone else is on the triangle. And you seem to think that, or you seem to say at the end, that that's not really the goal, to identify where the other person is. It's more about identifying where we are. Can you maybe just clarify or talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, do you remember the core thoughts, the core emotions, and core actions? So they give you some understanding about where the other person is. And the easiest way is to start asking questions to see that where they are. So if they are not, as an example, ready to see other options, and they just want to stick to the very first option, so it's most probably they are at level 3. And then the question would be, is level 3 serving us right now, or we want to kind of switch it higher or a bit down? And just to clarify, there is no good or bad. It's all about which level serves us, although they are saying that catabolic energies are kind of like negative energies, but definitely sometimes being at the victim will kind of hold you back from dangers. So not necessarily victim energy is a bad energy.
This was a fascinating introduction, and I suspect that many of us on the call, and myself included, are going to want to dig more. So thank you so much for introducing this topic to us and giving us a walkthrough.
Thanks for giving me the chance.
Yeah, no problem. Tom and Michael, I'm going to turn it back over to you to get us into Kumo Space for some informal networking. But thank you so much, Sanaz. This was great.
Thank you.
Really
I'm going to share the deck with you if it helps.
Perfect. And this gets posted to the YouTube channel as well, so we can watch it at any time. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. It was nice meeting all of you.